What is up, our mightiest subscribers? It's Ernie, Blerd Without Fear. Welcome back to the channel. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Captain Marvel Volume 2, Falling Star by Kelly Thompson and Carmen Carnero. And in this, we're going to kind of go over how the events of this particular set of comics has kind of paved the way for the current dark Captain Marvel. We're going to talk about all that and more right now, but first, let's hit that intro.
Word to wise, grass only greener when it's fertilized. Gave them truth in these songs, they prefer to lies. Destiny beautiful, adrift in her purple lies. You can't see me, you Stevie, wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
Before we get started, if you want to see more awesome comic book videos like this one, it only takes 2 clicks to become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers. Click, click. Okay, so since we left off with Captain Marvel, she's recently fallen on some hard times. She's met an enemy she can't fight with her bare hands, an enemy that fires bullets and lasers she can't deflect, and an enemy that is trying to drive her down to an old road towards her deepest, darkest demons: alcoholism. Who is this new enemy, you might ask? Well, it's a 3-way dance of sorts. The first that creeps up is Carol's new and alarming vulnerability. She begins losing her powers suddenly, bleeding from her nose after a fight with a space crack and biomachine, becoming incredibly vulnerable to attacks that normally wouldn't even make her flinch, and needing to be saved by the new hero in town, Star. A new hero who seems to have captured the public's heart, seeing as she seems more powerful than Captain Marvel right now. Not only that, but the media sees Captain Marvel save a Kree pilot from one of those Krakens that she brought down earlier, leading people to wonder if she's too soft on them, making people wonder exactly where her loyalties lie. And then the news has recently gotten wind of an article, the same one written at the end of the last volume of Captain Marvel by Ripley Ryan, the woman she saved from Nuclear Man. The world now knows Carol is half Kree, and now they think she's a sleeper agent and a traitor to her country. People are protesting in the streets for her to be sent back home. This is a really interesting commentary since this issue came out roughly a week before, if not the same week, as when Minnesota State Representative and Congresswoman Ilhan Omar was getting the exact same treatment over similar sentiments. It was coincidental, but timely nonetheless. Carol is even having her military career placed in jeopardy as a result of this, with her status as a colonel in the United States Air Force being threatened with dismissal. Even Agent Brand of Alpha Flight wants her to stay with them, but Carol knows what will happen if she does. It'll only lead to them being ousted too. Her life is literally falling apart, and the one good thing she has going in it is her recently resumed relationship with Colonel James Rhodes. You know, now that he isn't dead anymore. Her friends, Spider-Woman, Spectrum, Echo, Jessica Jones, and Hazmat try to help center Carol and keep her from losing herself because they all know what could come next. And they try to help her see that she can beat this. But Carol also smells the other reason that they're likely there: a preemptive strike intervention. And they also want her to get some medical help in case she has some sort of illness that's taking her powers away from her. Something that Spider-Woman actually sets up when She-Hulk offers to spar with Carol to kind of help her get her mind right. In secret, Spider-Woman is actually filming her to give this footage to Tony so he can figure out what's wrong with her. And even after all of this, leave it to her arch nemesis Minerva to help her fight back against everything that is happening to her. But Carol, being Carol, doesn't trust her, and for good reason. Minerva is directly responsible for the new hero in town, as well as the biotech transmitter inside her body, a piece of techno-organic material of Kree design that acts as a virus, and it's reacting to her powers, and it's wedged deep into her chest. And it's not until Carol finds Minerva chained up and nearly half dead in her own secret hideout that Minerva comes clean about everything. Minerva set all of this up to put Carol in a position where she would have to help her save her people, who right now are getting put through the ringer on the other side of space as they face extinction. But Minerva never realized that all of this fallout would go quite the way it has. She never meant for Carol to lose her career just fall on hard enough times that she'd have nowhere else to turn. She used the Krakens to spread that techno-organic virus, something that would really only affect Carol. Despite infecting anyone who came in contact with it, the virus works as a beacon, sending off a signal to a receiver. The signal being Carol's powers. So if the power is being sent somewhere, where is it going? Well, if you haven't figured that part out yet, it's Star. Minerva implanted the receiver in Star, thus, Star is born, roll credits. Every time Carol is near Star, she is siphoning her powers from her and strengthening herself. Carol's powers are fine when Star isn't near her, but the second she arrives, she loses them. It all makes sense to Carol now. Everything was fine until Star found out that Minerva was going to side with Carol to help her save the Kree. You see, Star is kind of petty that way. And she wants this power all to herself, and she doesn't care who she hurts to keep it. And Carol, realizing how dangerous she is, calls her out in the middle of Times Square, broadcasting herself on every screen in the area so Star can't ignore her. But Star doesn't really care if Carol calls her out. She knew eventually the jig would be up, but she's going to milk it for as long as she can because right now the public believes Carol is a traitor. Star is still the new indie darling in town. Carol doesn't even really want to fight Star. She wants to talk this out. She doesn't believe Star is as evil as she seems, but of course, as Star and Carol both agree, these sorts of things always lead to a fight. One that Carol can't win. Not like this. Star has all of her powers, her strength, her flight, her invulnerability, her power absorption, but she doesn't have Carol's training, her combat prowess, or her tactical mind. Star is essentially just a barroom brawler with Superman powers. Still dangerous, but not as dangerous as someone who knows what they're doing. Or who knows, maybe that's worse. Even still, Star takes the fight to the one place Carol can't survive, flying her straight up beyond the stratosphere where the air is thin and Carol slowly begins to suffocate. Carol was no match for her, and she dies as Star takes her place as the new Captain Marvel. Psych! I like doing these in these videos because it usually triggers the bro flakes, but no, that didn't happen. Captain Marvel does something really reckless to survive this fight, using the last of her strength to punch through her own chest and rip that Kree device out of herself. This shuts Star off from her as a power source and causes them both to come crashing to the pavement below. They survive because Star isn't as depowered as Carol might think. She was losing Carol's abilities, but now she has new ones. Star reveals who she really is. Ripley Ryan, the woman sent by Tony Stark to write up an awesome review of Carol and get the public to be on Captain Marvel's side. Well, that backfired. She was captured by Nuclear Man and forced to live as his slave. And during that time, which, because you gotta remember that time passed differently beyond the barrier that Nuclear Man had set up. So even though it was only really maybe a day for everyone else, inside that barrier, weeks, months had passed. And during that time, she got to see Captain Marvel in action, something that even she admits should have inspired hope in her, but all it did was scare her. She wakes up every night since that day that she was first captured by Nuclear Man in terror. She still wakes up in terror till this very day. She knew that if she remained weak, she'd only be a victim once again, and now she swears never again. She knew she'd never be able to survive the threats the world doesn't know exist until she could actually be Captain Marvel. And now she is, well, sort of. But she wanted to do more than infect Captain Marvel with this Kree tech that Minerva had cooked up. She wanted to infect the entire city, planting the virus in the water supply, and now she can siphon power from everyone. Only everyone else isn't strong enough to withstand the siphoning process. She's killing everyone around her to take their strength and add it to her own. And Carol knows that if she keeps fighting Star like this, all it will do is hurt more people. She has to stop Star once and for all. She can't hope she defeats Star in time and saves the day, so she does the only thing she knows will make sense, even if it's crazy. If she's sapping the life force of the civilians and is killing them, then it's better that Star siphon energy from her, someone who can take it. She puts the device back into her chest. She still doesn't want to fight Star though. She wants to talk her down, but Star has honestly lost her whole ass mind. She's talking crazy and not wanting to hear any of what Carol is selling. As far as Star is concerned, there is no place for Carol on Earth anymore. No longer will she allow Captain Marvel to save people, keeping them from becoming stronger, keeping them as perpetual victims, as she sees it. She is going to show the world how to become just like her. But it's at this moment Star might have realized she f***ed up. The people are watching this. They see everything because it's being broadcast all over TV. They're starting to see Carol wasn't the bad guy all along. That Star is in fact the villain that they didn't realize she was because they were too busy hating the wrong person. And it galvanizes the people, though not many of them, if any of them, can really do anything about it. Even Hazmat tries to help save Carol, but even she's not enough. But there's a little girl who steps up and tries to save Carol, defiantly standing in Star's way, and Star swats her down as well. And yeah, sure, what was a little girl gonna do to a superpowered villain like Star? Well, actually, this was the worst thing that Star could have done, because it pushes Carol to realize there was more than two options regarding Star's power drain scenario. Originally, Carol thought she could either let Star drain her or let Star drain the city, but all along, there was a third option: ripping the siphon directly out of Star's chest. This is a move that honestly could have killed Star, but somehow, some way, Carol is able to do it in such a way that Star is still left alive. And lo and behold, the little girl who galvanized Carol to act on option 3, she helps her realize that maybe, instead of hiding who she really is, maybe she should just tell the world what she truly is. Maybe she should just be honest about the fact that she's half human, half Kree. And you know what? The media coverage would suggest no one really cared. People are back on her side because they realize, yes, even though she hid who she really was and what she really was, she is a hero. And the people are back on her side. That and, saving the city kind of helps. They even want her status as a colonel in the United States Air Force reinstated. She even gets to have some TV time with her man Rhodey, and that bottle she was considering drinking, she gets rid of it in typical Captain Marvel fashion. Not only that, but Hazmat and Carol just keep on bonding and making strides, maybe possibly growing to like each other more, and maybe after all of this, Iron Man was right for once and they'll actually make a good team after all. Carol also decides that Star needs to go to the raft. She's not a typical villain and she's no longer a civilian. She's malicious and will do whatever it takes to get powers again, and that makes her dangerous. And it wasn't a bad idea either, because she is truly dangerous, and she's even more dangerous now because as she sits in a wrapped prison cell cooling her heels off, she seems to have acquired power again already. The power of reality, as in one of the living Infinity Stones seems to have found yet another jailbird, and now she's more than the possessor of the Reality Stone. She's now become reality itself.
And that is pretty much the story in a nutshell. This storyline really sets up what's currently going on. Those of you who do actually keep up with Captain Marvel, you'll probably already know Captain Marvel has already caught a body or two on the Avengers, and we now know with 100% certainty that it is the legitimate Captain Marvel. This isn't some alternate universe, alternate, whatever. This isn't Ryan Ripley, masquerading as Captain Marvel as a lot of people had originally thought. This is the genuine article, and more importantly, now we know why. We don't necessarily know all the ins and outs of exactly why Captain Marvel is doing this, But I think since Ryan Ripley is involved, she's kind of become one of Captain Marvel's new, like, ultimate threats. Especially considering that this heifer has a whole-ass Infinity Stone literally, like, living within her now, the Reality Stone. So it makes a lot of sense. Not to mention everything that happened with Carol Danvers over the course of Infinity Countdown and Infinity Wars. All that stuff that led up to it. All of her shenanigans with the Reality Stone. So all of this is pretty much like chickens coming home to roost, if you know, for want of a better analogy. But anyways, let me know what you thought about Captain Marvel Volume 2 Falling Star by Kelly Thompson and Carmen Carnero. Sound off in the comments. So hey, you made it to the end of the video. Awesome for you. If you enjoyed this video, and if you made it this far, I don't see how you didn't, do me a favor. Hulk smash that like button. And if you want to see more awesome videos like this one, make sure you click subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers. And tap that bell so you know when I post up. Also, feel free to go check out my Patreon, where if you chuck in $1, you can get early access to most of my videos up to a week early. And if you have time, make sure you swing by nerd901.com, where you can find more of my content as well as other amazing stuff. Anyways, until next time, I love you 3000 plus ultra.